Welcome back to our AWS EC2 instance Zero to Hero series. Today we'll be looking at EC2 instance profile. So let's take a use case. You want to access an AWS service. Generally, what we do, whether we can use is CLI or we will be using a console. If we want to use CLI, then what we'll be doing? We will be creating a user and then we will be configuring credential. Like we will be creating access keys and secret access key. Let's say I have already configured. So I have already downloaded access key and secret access key, AWS configure. Configure. I have already installed AWS CLI in my Linux machine. I'm using WSL for Windows. So I have already configured access key and secret access key. It is like username and password. So when you configure it, and then you can access the AWS console using CLI itself. Let's say I want to check what S3 I have already created. So AWS S3 ls. This is the command, CLI command. So it will list all the S3 bucket which I have in my account. So I have two buckets. For this thing to access, I have provided an access key and secret access key. This means it is like username and password. So let's say if I am creating a server, but if I configure username and password there, then it is unsecure. Like anyone who has then access to the EC2 machine, they can easily take the access key and secret access key, which is not secured. So to secure, not only to secure, but in production, what they do is instead of giving access to, if let's say we have an EC2 instance, instead of encoding credential inside the EC2 instance, we use EC2 instance profile. So let's see in example. I'm going to launch an instance. You click launch instance. Meanwhile, we have to create an IAM role first. Let's say S3 access EC2. Let's close this tab. This is for showing you an example. S3 access. And then we'll be choosing AMI as Amazon Linux. Why? Because we don't have to install AWS CLI. Amazon Linux has inbuilt AWS CLI in it. Then you come down, we will be using 33 micro. Proceed without key pair as we will be using instance connect. Security group, allow all security group, which allows everything. And you can have the default settings, launch template. Go inside the EC2 instance. Meanwhile, you come to roles and create a role. So here, while we creating a role, we have to choose AWS service, and here it is EC2. I will tell you why we are choosing like this. And after you choose EC2, then give next. So here we are going to give S3 full access so that it can access S3 full access. You can modify the access also, like you can write a custom JSON policy and attached to the IAM role. As of now, for hands-on, to show the instance profile, we are choosing AWS S3. So if you need to access some other services, you can choose anything. Like in general, in Jenkins, we use ECR or ECS. Everything, whatever services you need, you can enable them in the policy and you can access it through EC2 instance profile. Generally in production, what they do is they use SSM and container registry, elastic container registry. After selecting S3, you give next, and then we can name it as S3 instance profile. So this is for our naming convention. As I said, we have to choose EC2 instance. while creating EC2, while creating this IAM policy. Why? Because when you choose EC2, automatically trust relationship will be getting updated. So what does it mean? A trust relationship. So whom this IAM role can assume? Like we have assume action will be like STS assume role. So it is assuming role. And who is assuming role? Here it is EC2 instance. So there is a major difference between IAM role and EC2 instance profile. So let's say if we are creating a user and giving access with username and password like access key and secret access key, it is for the human being who is accessing EC2 instance. So IAM role is for EC2, not for the person, but for the service. Let's say EC2 needs to access something or some other service has to access another service. Then we'll be using role. And here in assume role, that means this is assuming this role. So EC2 instance is going to assume the S3 role. So what permission we are giving? This is the trust relationship, and we have to give permission, right? So we have given AWS S3 full access. So this way, it is EC2 instance is assuming S3 full access. So there is no leakage of credential as we are not directly inputting the credential. Instead, what we have done is we have created a role and attached permission to it so that it is assuming a role to get access to that service. And create role. Go to the EC2 instance which we created. We are going to connect it. So we'll be using EC2 instance connect. So as of now, when I created, I haven't configured EC2 instance profile. So let's see whether this can access S3 or not. Then we will be enabling S3 EC2 instance connect. So let's say AWS S3 LS. So I have connected to this EC2 instance, and then I am putting the same command which I am using for AWS. I have used previously in our local. From our local, we are accessing AWS S3. So here, see, unable to locate credential. You can configure credential by running AWS config. Correct. So it is saying that it is not having credential. We can solve it either way. Like we can give credential or we can use EC2 instance profile. If we give credential means it is easy only. But the thing is, when other person uses it, the credential will be exposed. And in a large environment, this is not a secured way. So to secure it with without using password, we'll be using instance profile. So go to EC2 instance, go to actions. We have instance setting, network setting, security setting. Here security, modify IAM role. I hope we have created IAM role. Let's type S3 instance profile. We have created it. Now what we have to do is we are going to attach an IAM role. So go to IAM role and S3 instance profile will be showing. We have which we have already created, and update IAM role. So now what we have done is we have attached an IAM role to an EC2 instance. This is called EC2 instance profile. So what is IAM a role? A role is like a permission. An EC2 instance profile is like a bag which carries a permission. Like it is like a backpack. Let's say you have permission, you have to carry the permission, right? So it is like a bag which carries AWS roles permission, so that this is carrying S3 permission so that it can access the S3. So now as we have updated, let's refresh this. Let's wait for some time. Here now, AWS S3 LS, same command I'm going to type. Now see, like we have seen in local, without configuring any credential, we are able to access our S3. So we can use same EC2 instance profile to enable SSM also. Like we will be seeing this in later video. Like when you go and connect EC2 instance, we have an option called session manager. For this also we need instance profile. So in large organization, they will use container registry, elastic container registry, ECR, and session manager. They will enable instance profile for session manager, and for let's say I have Jenkins. So, but I need for Jenkins has to access ECR to pull the images. So instead of giving credential, I will be enabling, like I have enabled S3 full access. I will be enabling ECR registry access, and I will be enabling S3 SSM so that I can access via each instance via SSM. Thank you.